Hello and welcome to another RTS 15 battle report. I know what you were thinking, why highly classified again? From my last recorded game, my opponent won, and we have a rule, whoever wins gets to roll the dice for the next mission to play. There are 20 ITS missions, and so my opponent rolled a d20, 1 at the top, 20 at the bottom, with 1 being acquisition. The following game we played was B-Pong. I did not record that game, but I did win that game. I got to roll for the next mission, and I wanted to record the next mission, which turned out to be highly classified again. Which is okay, because we're both happy, because we like this mission a lot. So here are the objectives for highly classified. Obviously, if you accomplish more objectives than your opponent, you get 3 objective points. If both of you accomplish the same, you get 2. And you get 1 objective point for every main objective that you do accomplish. And for your secondary objective, you also get 3 objective points. Now there are a few scenario rules that come with the game. Hazmat Ops we do not require because there's no quantum anomaly zones, and it's a bit of a useless special scenario rule for this mission without the quantum anomaly zones. We both use the joint command because that's obviously beneficial, having an extra command token. And we have the option of secure HVT, which you can use at the end of the mission, but we didn't need it. So here's the game table. As you can see, there are addition to the game table now. There's 2 long walls, and they are both high enough to completely cover a Silhouette 2 miniature. Obviously some line of fire exceptions, such as being on top of the roof of some double-story buildings, you can see over it. However, from the ground level, a Silhouette 2 miniature is completely obscured by the wall, allowing safe passage along the wall. So for our main objectives, the HVT designation and data scan were drawn from my opponent's classified deck, and Vigilance and Nano Espionage were drawn from mine. And for this game, here is my secondary objective, Combat Support, which is kind of good to have because I have a Doctor and Engineer in my list. So here's my list for the game. I forgot to take photographs of the miniatures, sorry. So for this list, I decided to include a Grenza Fort Observer to utilise the Lieutenant's order, giving me another order to use during the game. I replaced the Evader Engineer with a Tomcat Engineer. The air deployment skill will give me some more tactical flexibility during the game. Also, if I ended up with an objective where I must place D-charges on a piece of terrain inside my opponent's deployment zone, dropping the Tomcat just outside and moving into the opponent's deployment zone will be easier than moving all the way from my deployment zone. The Mobile Brigada with HMG is my active turn attack piece, and I wanted to use the other digger profile with rifle and light shotgun. Normally I use the chain rifle profile just as a disposable attack piece, which ends up dead and does not see much of the gameplay. I thought using this profile would make me consider my choices and be more directive with the digger. As you can see, I have a Hacker, Doctor, Engineer and Fort Observer in my list. You can achieve all of the main objectives and my secondary objective. I built this list purposely for highly classified. I read through the classified deck cards and looked at all the designated trooper types. My list mostly consists of medium and heavy infantry. The troopers also fulfill specific troop categories for the classified deck. The Grenza and Mobile Brigada are veteran troops, the Reverend Healer is an elite troop, and the Tomcat is a specially trained troop. So my list can meet most of the cards in the classified deck. This is my opponent's list. It has a fire team consisting of 2 Tectonic Knights and 3 Croziers, 2 of which are paramedics, 2 Trinitarians, which are Fort Observers for midfield control and for completing objectives, and Deferson as the Lieutenant. Now for the game. I won the Lieutenant's role. I chose Initiative and have the first turn. My opponent kept deployment, chose their side on the left and deploy second. So obviously I deployed first. I used my command token to allow me to keep aside 1 more trooper. This was my Mobile Brigada Hacker. My Tomcat remained off table to be deployed during the game. The Digger gained 2+ armor from the booty roll, which was useful during this game. Both moderators were deployed prone on the roof of the building to protect my lieutenant. My opponent deployed their fire team on the left side of the deployment zone, and Deferson was the last trooper to be deployed on the right side to counter my Mobile Brigada Hacker. My opponent used a command token to take 2 regular orders out of my order pool. Round 1. I'll start this round with 4 command tokens, because I spent 1 to hold 1 back during deployment, 1 Lieutenant's Order, 1 Impetuous Order, and 5 regular orders. In the Impetuous phase, the Digger moves forward onto the right side of my HVT into partial cover. I spend the Lieutenant's Order on the Grenza NCO. The Grenza moves forward near the stairs of the central building. Next, a coordinated order is conducted. It consists of the Grenza and Mobile Brigada Hacker. The Grenza ends up prone on top of the stairs and the Mobile Brigada is at the base of the stairs. The middle camo marker places a deployable and reveals itself to be a Trinitarian. The Mobile Brigada Hacker moves up onto the roof of the blue building and ends up prone. The Mobile Brigada Hacker, whilst prone, moves into the corner of the roof. And the Trinitarian places another deployable. The Mobile Brigada spends the rest of the turn accomplishing main objectives. The Trinitarian is partially inside the zone of control of the Mobile Brigada. Is partially inside zone of control, and the Mobile Brigada completes vigilance and data scan against the Trinitarian by passing his whip rolls, and this is the end of my turn. A summary of my opponent's turn. The fire team with the Crozier with Spitfire as the team leader moves their way down my right flank. The Crozier has multiple shootouts against the Digger. The Digger dodges or passes numerous saving rolls, ending up moving behind the wall and taking only 1 wound and entering battle ravaged state. The camo marker on my right moved into the open and used the Forward Observer skill against my HVT twice, succeeding both times. The Trinitarian completes the main objective, HVT designation, and that is the end of my opponent's turn. Round 2. I begin this round with 3 command tokens, 1 Lieutenant's Order, 1 Impetuous Order, and 7 regular orders. I decide to forgo the Impetuous phase because it places the Digger in a more vulnerable position. I spend the Lieutenant's Order on the Grenza NCO. The Grenza moves down the stairs without provoking any arrows. The Grenza stands up and moves down the stairs to the central building. Moves down the stairs of the central building. A coordinated order is performed. It involves the Grenza, Reverend Healer, and the Mobile Brigada with HMG. They all move their full movement distance to their positions. The middle Trinitarian fails a dodge roll. The team makes another full movement. The Reverend Healer moves closer towards the Digger, ending in silhouette contact with the Digger. The Mobile Brigada with HMG moves to the corner of the structure and shoots at the Crozier with Spitfire. The Crozier passes his saves and passes his guts roll into total cover. The rest of the fire team make their dodge rolls. The Teutonic Knights pass and move onto the top of the building. The remaining Croziers fail their dodge rolls. The Reverend Healer performs a Doctor skill and passes her whip roll. The Digger recovers 1 wound, entering back into full power state. The Reverend Healer also completes my secondary objective, combat support. The Digger decides to be a hero and rushes forward, unfortunately stopping just half an inch short of the partial cover available. And he engages the Teutonic Knight with missile launcher. Both Teutonic Knights and the Crozier paramedic return fire at the Digger. Both the Digger and the Teutonic Knight with missile launcher receive 1 wound, and the Digger enters battle ravaged state once more. The Tomcat decides to enter the battle and lands on the edge of the table behind the entire fire team. The fire team all declare dodge to turn and face the Tomcat, however only the Crozier with Spitfire manages to succeed, and also the Trinitarian. The rest fail their dodge. The Tomcat moves towards the base of the stairs, and a bunch of template weapons are fired everywhere. In the end, a Crozier paramedic and Trinitarian enter unconscious state. The Crozier with Spitfire passes his dodge and also the Teutonic Knights. The Tomcat passes his saving roll and fails his guts so he can move into partial cover since he was previously in the open at the base of the stairs. Using the last order, the Digger moves forward and engages the Teutonic Nightwing missile launcher using his light shotgun in hit mode. The fire team declares dodge with only the Teutonic Knights passing, and that is the end of my round 2. A summary of my opponent's round 2. The Crozier Paramedic performed 2 Medikit hits against the Tomcat. The Tomcat returned fire with a Gizmo kit. The Tomcat failed to hit and the Crozier scored 2 hits. My opponent completes the main objective, Nano Espionage. Deferson moves forward and gains line of fire to the Tomcat, which declares dodge. The Tomcat passed and moved to the base of the stairs outside line of fire, and Deferson moved forwards up against the wall. Deferson moved to the corner of the wall along the short edge, gaining line of fire to the Grenzer. The Grenzer declares Flash Pulse against Deferson. The Mobile Brigada Hacker declares Oblivion against Deferson. Deferson attempted to perform Trinity against the Mobile Brigada but ends up entering Isolated state. The Crozier with Spitfire decided to break the fire team and shoot the Tomcat, with the Tomcat returning fire. Both entered unconscious state. My opponent reformed the fire team, and the Crozier Paramedic became the team leader and entered silhouette contact with the unconscious Tomcat. And that is the end of my opponent's round 2. Round 3. I decided to forgo the impetuous phase again. A coordinated order was performed by the Reverend Healer and Mobile Brigada with HMG. They both moved their full range into better positions. The Reverend Healer did a full move towards a pile of unconscious troopers on the right hand side of the table. The Reverend Healer performed a Medikit attack against the Crozier Paramedic. The main objective, Nano Espionage, was completed by the Reverend Healer. The Mobile Brigada with HMG moved and attacked Deferson. Deferson failed his reset and passing his saving roll, moved outside line of fire from the Mobile Brigada with HMG. The Grenzer moves forward to gain line of fire to the enemy HVT. The Grenzer takes a hit from the Teutonic Knight missile launcher and enters the dead state. The Mobile Brigada Hacker attempts to carbonite Deferson. Deferson fails his reset but passes his saving roll. He is still isolated but not immobilized. The Reverend Healer moves into silhouette contact with the Crozier Paramedic. The Crozier fails to hit the Reverend Healer. With the last regular order, the Reverend Healer and the Crozier continued their hand-to-hand combat. The Crozier passed his saving roll and is still in the fight. Summary of my opponent's round 3. My opponent starts the round in loss of lieutenant because Deferson is isolated. Deferson tries to reset again but fails. The Teutonic Knight light shotgun moves down the stairs into silhouette contact with the unconscious Tomcat. He passes a whip roll and my opponent completes a secondary objective, Suspected Infiltration. My opponent decides to end the game here. That is the end of the game. Now for the after action review. So here are the results of the game. Nomads completed Vigilance, Data Scan and Nano Espionage for their main objectives. Military Orders completed HVT Designation and Nano Espionage. Both armies completed their secondary objective, and Nomads score 9 objective points versus Military Orders 5 objective points. And Nomads had 148 army points remaining to Military Orders 138. So, some lessons learned from my sustained. My focus was on playing the game and completing objectives. Continuing to reevaluate my plan to achieve objectives during the game gave me a different insight into Infinity. In some situations, having an enemy trooper guts into cover was enough for me to move into a position to achieve an objective. I did not have to kill the enemy outright. Just having the enemy trooper move away was just as effective. This gave me greater insight in how to play Infinity in a more refined way. For fix, I did not use the impetuous phase effectively enough to get performance from the Digger. Having 2+ armor for this game helped keep him alive, but I did not use it much. Going on top of the building with the Grenzer was a waste of orders. I should have just remained on the ground and went around the central building. My plan was to get on the building and use line of fire to complete HVT's designation. However, the Trinitarian laid down mines and prevented me from doing this, forcing me to go back down and around. I could have saved a lot of orders by keeping the Grenzer moving on the ground. For threat, a fire team is always a serious threat. Burst to an ARO from every trooper that has line of fire to my active miniature is something to think about. However, I think my opponent did not set up the fire team in a way that became a serious problem for me this game. Still, not rushing in and slicing the pie is a good tactic for taking out a fire team, one trooper at a time. Using the Tomcat helped in reducing fire team members and being a problem for my opponent to deal with in her active turn. That is the end of the battle report. Feel free to share your thoughts and observations of the game in the comments below. Thank you for watching and may you have a good day.